Hello students, today we are going to learn some aspects of American English. Let us begin with the introduction. What is American English? In the 20th and 21st century, the United States of America has been dominating the entire world in terms of political, economical and military points of view. Similarly, the Americans started getting involved in all walks of life at the international level to keep up their importance and presence. Naturally, the language used by the American people, that is English, has also got an opportunity to expand its boundaries outside the United States of America. There are so many countries which started following American standard of English language. As a language, American English has successfully been established in the world, and the people using this pattern feel proud to be associated with it. These days, almost everyone knows about British English, Australian English, Indian English, American English, etc. So far, the British and American English are concerned, many of us just know about the difference in pronunciation and spellings. In fact, there are so many factors which differ in both the languages. There are so many aspects that they have variation in. The factors like pronunciation, rhythm and melody pattern, grammar and vocabulary, writing style and punctuation, etc. The American English is a kind of English used by the people of the USA, as the name suggests. In the course of the 200 years, Americans have brought radical changes in English language in terms of pronunciation, stress pattern, spellings, grammar structures, usage, writing pattern, etc. This dialect of English used by the American people is called American English. The use of English in the United States is a result of the British colonization. The first wave of English-speaking settlers arrived in North America during the 17th century, followed by further migrations in the 18th and 19th centuries. Since then, American English has been influenced by the languages of West Africa, the Native American population, German, Irish, Spanish, and other languages of successive waves of immigrations to the US. Now, the Americans were introduced to English by British colonization, and it spread wide. In course of time, the language was spread to numerous other parts of the world as a result of British trade and colonization elsewhere and the spread of the former British Empire. Over the past 400 years, the form of the language used by the American people has deviated in different ways. Differences between the American and British English include pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, spellings, punctuation, idioms, formatting of dates and numbers, written and spoken structure of grammar, etc. Overwhelming response of people to radio, television and the internet has basically been instrumental for a worldwide communication. To add on, the current phase of globalization has reduced the tendency of regional variation of English. Since Americans rule the internet domain and they could make the exhaustive use of this medium to spread their code of American English language among the people all over the world. There is no specific accent in the USA like received pronunciation of British English, that is RP. The local accents in the USA are recognized only in the East or the South. It is said that general American accent is the term commonly employed for a majority of the American accents which are not marked with Eastern or Southern characteristics, including both the Northern speech of the Hudson Valley, New York, and the Midland speech of Pennsylvania. Still, the North American accent has got wide recognition in the US and also in the world. Generally, Americans talk with a stress on the content and focus words in a phrase or sentence because they are very important for meanings. Americans reduce the sound of function words when they speak because they are not important. Now, this combination of stressed and unstressed words creates a speech rhythm that Americans like to hear. In spoken English, each sentence or phrase contains focus words, which are the most important words, content words, very important words for meaning, and function words, which are less or not important words for meaning. These are the three categories of words. Now, focus words and content words. The most important parts of English phrases and sentences are content and focus words. These are pronounced with emphasis. Content words are usually the main verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, negations, and numbers. These are all called as the content words, which are very important for meaning. The focus words may come anywhere in a sentence. Now, we shall look at some examples and read them aloud, emphasizing the highlighted text, which will show us how they are pronounced in American English, where the emphasis is on the focus and content words. If you have a sentence like, Katrina is happy with her new role. This is the sentence. We have three focus or content words, that is Katrina, happy, and role. These are emphasized. So, I would read it in American English, how they give stress and importance to focus words. Katrina is happy with a new role. You listen only Katrina, happy, and role. Another example. Ramesh likes to teach in a university. Ramesh likes to teach in a university. You listen Ramesh, teach, and university prominently because they are content words or focus words, whereas likes, to, in, a, which are not focused. Ramesh, teach, university, which are noun and verb, that is the focus words or the content words. In longer sentences, there is a focus word in each phrase or thought group. For example, if you plan to become a university professor, you need to have qualification with experience. So, if you have to emphasize on the content words, you would read it like this. If you plan to become a university professor, you need to have qualification with experience. So, they are more emphasized. If you plan to become a university professor, you need to have qualification with experience. With is not really emphasized. Coming to function words. The unstressed words, as we just looked in the above examples, they are called function words. These are important to the grammatical structure of a sentence, but they do not convey much meaning. The meaning is still conveyed, but they are required only for the grammatical structure. Americans pronounce them quickly with a low pitch, so they can be difficult to hear. Function words are usually articles, prepositions, conjunctions, and auxiliary verbs. So that is how the stress or the emphasis is more on content and focus words, and function words are not really stressed or emphasized upon. Learning American English pronunciation includes learning its unique style and sound pattern. Mastering this skill is very much like taking music or singing lessons. It has got that rhythm. Unfortunately, most foreign speakers never learn to create this melody and rhythm. Therefore, they speak English at an incorrect pace, style, and a dull or flat monotone throughout their life. Now, the first thing is pushing out r and w sounds. R and W sounds are extremely important in American English pronunciation. These sounds are found in all positions of words, that is, either in the beginning, middle, or at the end. These sounds require a pushing out motion of the mouth and lips that most foreign speakers are challenged by. If your goal is to be easily understood in everyday conversation, these sounds have to be mastered. So, practice pushing out your mouth and lips when you produce these sounds. Listen to the following words. Correct, where there is a r coming out. Correct, correct. Girl, word, grammar, grammar. So, there is a pushing out of r and w. Now, choosing the correct vowel sound is also very important for American English. Switching the correct vowel sound for an incorrect vowel sound is an extremely common error made by non-native speakers of English, and American speakers are no exception to this. This substitution error is significant because it often completely changes the meaning of the word. The reasons why non-native speakers, that is American speakers, tend to switch vowel sound include the following reasons. They substitute the vowel sounds from their native language into the American English vowel sounds. They are confused by the inconsistencies of English spellings. They do not recognize the sound because it does not exist in their native language. Indeed, often they cannot even hear it until they are trained to do so. Now, listen to the following words. Heat, heat, hit. The vowel is short and long. It is short when you say hit. It's long when you say heat. Bait, bat, bazaar, bazaar, bizarre, bizarre. So, there is a vowel shift. That pronunciation of vowel is varying. Coming to the production of sounds s and z. S, z. There is a slight variation. Did you know that approximately half of all s sounds in English are pronounced as z sounds by many people? By incorrect pronunciation of these sounds, your spoken American English will sound sloppy and may give the impression that you are not proficient. When to produce the s sound or s or z has to do with neighboring sounds in the word. This seems difficult to understand, but it's quite easy to master once you understand it. Listen to the following words. You have 1 cup, 2 cups. The ending sound is s. Cup, cups. Fork, forks. But whereas when you say 1 spoon, It is not spoons, but it is spoons. Z. Z sound is produced when you use a plural for spoon. Spoon, spoons. Similarly, glass, glasses. Glasses. Z. So that is the difference when you produce s and z. Similarly, deserve. It's not deserve, though you have a s in spelling. The sound is z. Deserve. Similarly, busy. You have s, but it's not busy, but it is busy. Z. That z should be differently pronounced. There should be a variation in pronouncing s and z. That is the variation. Now pronouncing the invisible y sound. Y, you don't have it in spelling, but when you utter this word, the sound has to be intruded in the pronunciation. The invisible y sound is found throughout American English. However, non-native speakers of English do not know about or use this very important element of pronunciation. Although you never see the letter Y in these words, so you don't think that they should be here, but this subtle sound must be included in pronunciation. Now let's look at the words. You have R-E-U-N-I-O-N. You don't have a y sound in it, but you have to produce the sound y when you are pronouncing this word, that is reunion. Reunion, y sound. Distribute. You don't call it distribute, but it is distribute, y. Interview. Interview. Regular. Regular, y. It's not regular, regular. And J-U-R-Y is not jury, but it is jury. Jury, y. Y is included. That sound is intruded. So which is very common of American English. And fifth point is not to drop the endings of words. Many foreign speakers drop the last sound in a word or the ending of a word. This can have a significant impact on listeners who can clearly understand your speech and meaning. While speaking, we should be sure to clearly pronounce the final sounds like p, b, t, d. These sounds in words, when they occur in the final position, they have to be pronounced clearly. If we look at examples, hope, you have to produce that sound p, though it comes in the final position. Tube, cat, t, wood, d. So this p, b, t, d sounds, when they come in the final position, they have to be pronounced, they have to be produced. And then pronouncing all friction sounds, that is also very important. Friction sounds are quieter sounds which are produced by creating friction in our mouth. These sounds are found in the beginning, middle, and also at the end of the words. In American English, some of these sounds include th, th, f, f, v, v, sh, sh, s. Now there is a difference between v and v. Earlier we have learnt about r and v. V is a rounded sound, whereas v is where your lower lip touches the upper teeth. That is the variation in production, v and v. So these sounds th, f, v, sh and s, these have to be produced. By mispronouncing, omitting or not stretching these sounds out, our spoken American English skills will remain poor. Listen to the following words. Leave, leave, f, v sound in the final position. think, think, bath, those, those. That's how you pronounce them. Then they occur in the initial position. By meticulously following these unique features of American rhythm and melody, one can master this dialect of English, that is American English, this style of English. Moving on to the difference in grammar and vocabulary. To begin with, collective nouns, singular and plural agreement. In British English, almost all collective nouns such as government, committee, army, police, team, company, etc. are considered to be either singular or plural, whereas in American English, collective nouns are treated as singular only. They are never treated as plural forms. Coming to V2 and V3 forms of verbs. In British English, there are many verbs which have regular and irregular forms of verb forms such as learn, learned, learnt, dream, dreamed, dreamt, etc. In American English, the regular forms like learned, dreamed, etc. are preferred and used. Now coming to the uses of tenses. Traditionally, British English uses the present perfect tense to talk about an event in the recent past. Present perfect tense is used to talk about an event in the recent past. The words such as already, just and yet are normally used to denote the present perfect tense or the action which is completed in the immediate or recent past. But in American English, they prefer the present perfect tense to express and use the simple past to imply an expectation. Now coming to the use of the definite article, the. In British English, the institutional nouns like in hospital, in university, in prison, in sea, etc. do not take a definite article in front of them. Whereas in American English, the is required as in the hospital, in the university, in the prison, in the sea, etc. So there is a usage of a definite article in usage of the institutional nouns. Coming to the expression of time, here also there is a lot of variation. The 24-hour clock, like 18 hours, 19 hours, is considered normal in the UK and Europe in many applications including air, rail and bus timetables. It is largely unused in the US except in military, police, aviation and medical applications. 15 minutes after the hour is called quarter past in British usage and a quarter after or less commonly a quarter past in American usage. Similarly, 15 minutes before the hour is usually called quarter to 5, quarter to 6 in British usage and a quarter of or a quarter to or even a quarter till in American usage. That is the difference. Coming to writing the dates. Dates are usually written differently in the short numerical form, that is either MMDDYY or DDMMYY. So, for example, Christmas Day of 2000 is written as 25/12/2000 in the UK, whereas in America the date would be 12/25/00 or 12/25/2000. So, the formats are different, 25/12/2000 and 12/25/2000. This is different. The American style of writing 9/11/2001, the famous incident. So, 9/11 is September 11th and not 9th of November when you are reading an American date. So, this way is confusing for some readers. It can be read in two ways and has two different dates and months. If it is a date beyond December, beyond 12th, it's easy to identify when it is 25th, but whereas numerals like 9 by 11 can be confusing. There are some specific terms which have different names in British and American dialects. Here is a short list. Bonnet in British English is hood in American. Car park is called parking lot. Estate car of British English is station wagon of American English. Motorway in British English is a freeway or highway in American English. Similarly, lorry in British English is truck in American English. Flyover is overpass. Petrol is gasoline or gas, and anti-clockwise is counterclockwise, and saloon is sedan, and spanner is wrench in American English. So, there are certain terms, specific terms which are very peculiar, very particular of American English. American English differs from British English in the respect of writing as well. The writing tools such as spellings, punctuations, titles and headings. The following sections provide the details. Spellings. The use of standard English spellings started only when Samuel Johnson published the first Dictionary of English Language in 1775. It was a landmark in the development of English language as such. Then the phase of spelling reforms started in English language, which influenced American English also. In fact, American English got deviated from the mainstream of English in the 19th century when Noah Webster published an American Dictionary of the English Language in 1828. Then, in the 20th century, the Simplified Spelling Board continued the trend and suggested many changes in the spellings of English words and made them simplified and user-friendly. Thus, American English established new norms of English spellings and initiated a new trend to simplify the spellings of various words and introduced the words like neighbor with spelling N-E-I-G-H-B-O-R, unlike B-O-U-R in British English, and labor L-A-B-O-R, unlike L-A-B-O-U-R in British English. These are some variations. Coming to the punctuation, abbreviations and full stops. Talking about abbreviations and full stops, American English recommends to write Mr., Mrs., St., Dr. these abbreviations along with a full stop after the abbreviated form of a word, whereas the British English follows a different pattern and often they write a comma after these abbreviations like Mr., Mrs. and Doctor. British English follows the rule that a full stop is used only when the last letter of the abbreviation is not the last letter of the complete word. Otherwise, they use a comma, whereas in American English, they use a full stop after the abbreviation. This kind of abbreviation is known as contraction in the UK. The use of full stop, the punctuation mark, after most abbreviations can also be found in the UK, although publications generally tend to avoid the use of American punctuation. Now, we also use of quotation marks. American English suggests the use of double quotation marks that is 2 inverted commas, and single quotation marks for the quotation within quotation. But in the British English, there are different versions which have been suggested in the course of time, and one of them follows even the American style. Now, to talk about the titles and headings, many British newspapers use fully capitalized headlines so as to create an impact as opposed to readability. On the other hand, the American newspapers usually follow the sentence style of having only the first letter of the first word capitalized, not the entire sentence is capitalized, all the letters in the words, but only the initial letter of each word is capitalized. In view of all these aspects, we can easily notice that American English is different in many ways than any other dialect of English. Thus, American English stands out as a different dialect of English having its own speciality and features. Hope you understood the variations, the difference in the dialect of American English from that of the British. Thank you.